GM guys, I hope everyone enjoying Dubai's lovely weather this conference season as well. We have got an amazing panel and a very interesting topic. What will Web3 and AI hype will lead to? I'm Akshay Agrawal from Yap Markets. It's an on-demand attention marketplace where yappers who have attention helps you amplify the voice of the builder. This panel needs no introduction, but for those of you who are new in Web3, let's have a quick round of intro, starting with Sandeep.
Hey everyone, I am Sandeep. I'm the founder of Polygon. Polygon is a blockchain scaling company, which we are building this trustless internet, which can power infinite scale, like the way internet powers the whole digital economy. We want to power the whole trustless digital economy. That's what we are building.
Hi everyone, Keone Han from the Monad Foundation. Monad is a new EVM layer 1 that's delivering the best of both worlds between performance and decentralization by introducing a bunch of new technologies to the EVM, which we think are really needed, including parallel execution, a new database, asynchronous execution, and a completely new consensus mechanism.
Hello everyone, my name is Yuhu. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Kaito. Kaito is building an InfoFi network, and many of the people know about Kaito through maybe yapping or yaps. That's also something that we're doing. Essentially, our goal is to unlock monetization opportunities for the masses, and by essentially reshaping the relationship among content creators, brands, and users within the attention economy.
Hey everyone, I'm Kenny. I'm the co-founder of Manta Network. We are the largest modular L2.
Nice. So let's dive straight in, guys. I think we all will agree to the fact that Web3 still has very limited number of users. How do you guys see AI helping growing the ecosystem, growing the pie itself, and get to the adoption that we all are waiting for?
Yeah, I mean, there are two ways to answer this question. Like one question is that, one way to answer is that if I ask you how many users are there on cloud, right? Like, I mean, it's a tricky question to ask because cloud powers like all sorts of technologies. Probably most of like 80–90% of the consumer traffic would be powered by various kinds of cloud computing. So I think of blockchain as like nothing different than, or Web3 compute as nothing different than like a new form of computing, which is trustless computing. And the fact that when we say that blockchains have less number of users, we are primarily trying to look into the hardcore Web3 applications, which have some form of crypto element or these governance, DeFi, this element in them. Whereas like if you see like a general usage from the perspective of the user, then we would have we have already crossed the chasm, like, with maybe 100 million users and all that. If you see like people who are using stable coins, not only on-chain, but also, within the exchanges and all that. Like stablecoin is a big product market fit of crypto. Bitcoin, we don't know how many, like, probably 50 million people or more than that would be holding Bitcoin, or maybe more, like maybe 100 million people are holding Bitcoin. So that way we have to classify, like when we are talking about the users, which kind of users you're saying. Probably your question is like we don't have a lot of on-chain users, right? And that could be a fair question. And I think that again, like I don't really think that we should chase that particular number, whereas we should be chasing the applications which abstract away all of this complication. Whether it's on-chain, off-chain, doesn't really matter. But people should build like reasonable, good, high-quality UX applications which utilize crypto rails in the background. And then, the users will come. For example, the crypto AI topic that we have, I think like, if we keep asking the question, how many crypto AI companies are there, then it will be all that will come out is 99% of the crypto AI companies we all know, like, they are probably, there's no substance behind. These are like token companies with AI sprinkled on them, right? Whereas we should either look for AI companies who are using crypto in the background to incentivize the builders around them or incentivize the users or creating these incentivized games to get the initial traction. Either that will work, or you should have like purely crypto applications which are using AI for them. For example, like on-chain DeFi protocols might want to give you some AI functionality where the AI agents are trading on your behalf and all that. But like the purely like, that's why like I don't really like the crypto AI kind of category as a whole. Either you are an AI company or you are a crypto company. You are using crypto for your AI company, for growing your AI company, or you are using AI to have a better UX or even some other use cases for your crypto company.
So UX can be improved through.
I think like that like agents and people trading on your behalf and all that. At the end, it's some kind of like increasing or making the end user interface better. Of course, like you have these HFT and all that. But I think AI is still pretty far from that to hand over like $10 million to AI and go and trade on myself on my behalf, because AI tends to hallucinate, and you can't really 100% rely on AI. Like you need a lot of infra around it. So I don't think like that is mainstream in any form. But probably UX, where you need 4 or 5 signatures, bridge this, that, like a very specific use case if you want to give, and AI just executes on your behalf. Probably that could be doable. So I see AI, enhancing the UX for the end users more for the Web3 applications. And I definitely see AI the crypto playing a very big role in providing more distribution, incentivizing early users, and these loops for growing AI companies.
Got it. Sandeep mentioned about HFT, and I think Yuhu and Keone, you both are from the hedge funds background. So do you guys have anything to add on this?
Yeah, I think I'll give you sort of 3 major use cases. Of course, there are more, but 3 like really simple ones to put in your back pocket and be able to explain to your friends. The first one is personal finance. The second one is internet capital markets, and basically crypto as an environment for capital formation in a permissionless manner. And thirdly, the establishment of permissionless markets themselves. I had this experience recently, and probably a lot of people in this room have had this very frustrating experience of trying to send a wire from my bank to Coinbase and having the bank basically block the wire, lock my account, called them, like asked them to unblock it and let the wire through. Just resend the wire once again, we get the account locked, and it's just crazy that in this day and age, you have your own assets, but you don't actually fully control them because there's a centralized actor that is kind of the ledger of record for ownership of your assets. And crypto solves this. Crypto puts power back in the hands of the users. So personal finance very clearly has a massive TAM, every single person in the world having access to their assets. And then beyond that, capital market formation. I think specifically in the context of AI, one thing that's really interesting is, there are a lot of markets that can get bootstrapped by, like the entire sector of DePIN is basically utilizing tokens to bootstrap a network that then offers a supply side that then allows a demand market to actually evolve and go utilize the supply that is being offered. So we see that in, for example, in Helium, like they bootstrapped a network of mobile hotspots, and you need that network effect. You actually need good coverage in order for the demand to come there and utilize this, but that token actually enables the formation of this amazing resource. So just, those are a couple of different areas where I think there's very clear product market fit for crypto, and just excited to see the growth of this over the next coming years.
Yeah, so maybe just add on kind of on the agent side of things. So obviously we've seen kind of different ways of crypto agents booming. The first wave was maybe kind of more focused on the entertainment side of things. You have a lot of the crypto agents churning out content, all this kind of stuff, AIXBT obviously being the biggest one of them. And then later on, we've seen a lot of the kind of the DeFi AI agents essentially helping people doing transactions and stuff. Fundamentally, I think the whole world is moving to that sort of agentic economy, right? So, a few days ago, I think Perplexity was saying that, in the past, where you kind of use a search engine, then people will be surprised to see kind of a summarized and paragraphs of semantic understanding or that kind of stuff. But in the future, it's going to be increasingly commoditized. You can get that through Grok, you can get that through Perplexity, you can get that through maybe OpenAI as well. But in the future, it's going to be the agent really knowing everything about you, and then maybe reminding you of certain stuff that based on the information that is obviously disseminated in the world that you should be careful of, or maybe recommending certain actions, processing a ton of the information that's personalized to you. There is increasingly, I think, that's also where kind of the agentic adoption in crypto is going to go. So we're going to go from just a kind of the pure entertainment agent, maybe from, even kind of away from some of the DeFi agent, but actually bring user experience to the next level, understanding what you truly care about, from understanding your on-chain behavior. As a kind of individual, maybe you always like to be chasing some of the yield opportunities. What's your kind of a risk appetite from an asset perspective? What are some of the stuff that you most care about? Stuff like that, and the agent can essentially personalize all of that for you. And I think it's particularly exciting in the crypto space because data is very open. So that significantly accelerates the development, because in kind of the major tech world, everyone is essentially competing on private data nowadays. One of the biggest strengths of Grok is basically that they lock all the data access from all the other providers by accessing their data, right? So they are the only sort of agent or LLM that essentially has access to Grok data. But actually in the crypto world, all the data that are kind of transparent, then any developer can essentially index those on-chain transactions and all the kind of the public social profiles, all that kind of stuff, to essentially, innovate in that perspective. So I truly think that is a huge opportunity for the space to evolve from that perspective and come up with some really intelligent agents that can kind of truly fundamentally change how people are behaving in the crypto world.
All right, Kenny?
All great ideas. I think at the end of the day, though, the question about how AI is going to bring mass adoption to crypto, I think, is a very flawed question in the sense that, let's not pretend that AI is going to save the day, guys. The reason why there's not enough adoption in crypto is not because AI isn't here yet, right? It's because there are no use cases. Right? Right now, I think fundamentally, we have to take a strong look at ourselves and understand that what we're playing with right now is in a sandbox environment, right? And this is coming from a guy who's been in this space for over a decade now. I've seen all sorts of trends come and go. And one of the things that I think we as an industry need to overcome is, one, Are we building for the masses, or are we trying to circle jerk technology, right? Because we can flash, fancy words up on the screen, and people who know less would probably be like, "Wow, that's great," but ultimately, it's not going to derive that value that we're trying to derive to actually capture the market that we say we're going for, right? And one really simple example of this is Twitter. everyone on Twitter, I'm willing to bet like most of the people in this room are probably not using Twitter because you're trying to make money. I mean, yeah, like indirectly because you're like talking about ways to make money, but you're not using Twitter itself to make money every month, right? You're not necessarily monetizing your tweets. But Twitter is still a very successful media conglomerate, you might argue. But when you look at any sort of instantiation or attempt to replicate something in crypto, Twitter becomes now decentralized Twitter, and decentralized Twitter has to have some type of unsustainable financial incentive. And so what you end up doing is you end up attracting the same audience, and that audience is all people who are looking for these short-term incentives. And I think we have to, as an industry, grow beyond that first. And after that, right, what opportunity does AI present? I think from there, AI has a lot of opportunity because right now, like, everything inside and outside of the crypto space is all about AI, right? It's the next generation of applications. It's going to get everyone's, knowledge on steroids and everything. And so the question now becomes just like, how do you apply that in the crypto space? And I think there's a lot of opportunity there, which is mentioned by everyone here already. But the first step in that mass adoption, I think, comes way before thinking about how to kind of fit the AI peg into crypto and say kumbaya.
Got it. So now building on that, I think in the last couple of years, we have seen AI has become more accessible to the people. Now it is much more easier for anyone to spin up an agent or deploy it. It can be DeFi agent or social agent. How is this shift? Has this already started affecting your individual products or networks? What challenges it can lead to in the future? I would love to start with Yuhu for this.
I think it's definitely kind of a change in people's behavior, right? So people, because everyone, even like people in the Web3 world, obviously have used all the applications in the Web2 world. So the natural expectation of stuff when you're using an app is rising, because like back in the day, for example, when you're using a kind of a Uber app, then when you're kind of doing search, it remembers your home, all that kind of stuff. That naturally raises the expectation of doing anything that's kind of in the Web3 world. So the reason why people say that the user experience in Web3 is not as good as Web2 is because we haven't even matched kind of the base level of AI technology. So now that the Web2 world is already kind of a fast forward to all these kind of newer, technology or adoption. If you think about the amazing stuff that OpenAI, for example, is doing and Grok is doing, that naturally raises the bar of our user experience in Web3. So naturally, I think people are thinking that way. And from our product perspective, in the past, our traditional institutional platform, which is Kaito Pro, would essentially provide a search engine experience. Now that experience needs to be completely revamped to essentially provide more actionable insights for people. Because summarization and just simply information indexing and semantic understanding isn't going to be enough. Because the expectation of using a product is always rising. And the same thing as all the other stuff that people are doing, I think it's kind of all kind of rising. So there's a lot of opportunities to increase that or improve that user experience, but also challenges in terms of competing with the sort of the Web2 user experience that people are seeing.
But do you see like this in your specific case, this leads to increase in cost because now everyone can just spin up an SocialFi agent and you have to synthesize data more in order to find out the outliers?
The cost side of things is actually very interesting. So on one hand, you have LLM cost significantly dropping. The latest, for example, Gemini model, where it's around about 5% of the cost of GPT-4o. So back in the day, even just like 2 months ago, we'll be spending a few $100,000 a month in terms of inferences. Now we're cutting that by 95%. So that's sort of the scale of the cost that we're talking about right now. And then obviously, on the other hand, you have exponential growth in terms of the amount of information that's out there in the market. But I think because the inferences cost is dropping at a higher rate, at a faster rate than the amount of information that's out there in the market, then on balance, it's actually cost saving rather than cost increase.
Got it. Keone, can this lead to unnecessary congestion, or can this pose some threats in the network?
I think that I don't know, I just have a really dumb, very left curve, smooth brain view on this, which is basically that AI is accelerating the rate at which new products are built, the rate at which new companies are formed, just basically AI, we've all tried Cursor AI, or we've tried Windsurf, we've tried, these are amazing tools, and they're going to get better and better every year, which increases our productivity as a society, and that's exciting. But at the same time, the legacy financial rails are extremely inefficient, and that's because finance is essentially a coordination problem. You have basically a bunch of payments that are all, flowing through specific payment processors. You have asset ledgers basically stored in siloed environments in different banks. And it's really hard for all of these participants to coordinate with each other. And right now, the way they do that is, sort of daily settlement type things where all of the transactions for that day are rolled up into one, aggregate transfer from one bank to another. And there's manual, humans looking over things, making sure that it makes sense. And crypto solves this. Crypto gives us a base layer under which we can have very efficient settlement in real time, and we can have basically contracts or expectations invariance enforced through code. So it's a very exciting time to be alive. It's a very exciting time to be a human, and the pace of innovation is growing. Crypto is basically the railroads and waterways that enable finance and commerce to flow more efficiently, so that as we're accelerating in the pace of any kind of product, we have better ways of settling, better ways of doing business.
What do you say, Sandeep, about this?
I agree with Keone, you have to see crypto, that's why the original question when you started, the starting question was that how many users are there in Web3 and all that, but I think we should start seeing crypto and the blockchains as this new financial infrastructure. And Kenny said that there are no use cases, because it's right that we don't have use cases in the native crypto kind of world, because it's like asking that find new use cases for cloud computing, right? Cloud computing did not come up with new use cases. The existing use cases moved over to cloud computing because it was a better way of computing. Similarly, if settlements, or fast settlements, self-custody, and censorship resistance, right? Censorship resistance, people really care less about. But these other things, especially what Keone is saying, first, we need to see the blockchains as this new age financial infrastructure, which replaces the legacy infrastructure, because it is easier to trust. We have seen probably trillions of dollars of financial frauds globally. And now, and this is when the digitization in finance was still in the last 20 years it has picked up. Now it will accelerate, and with AI and all these things coming up, and more and more people going digital, right? Probably out of 8 billion people, today we have hardly 1 billion, 1.5 billion people will be on online digital banking and using digital forms of money, right? And then if we are bringing the other 6 billion people onto the digital, they are going to demand, or they are going to need better financial infrastructure, which we have existing legacy financial infrastructure. And crypto for me is this new financial infrastructure, which is better than the existing infrastructure. Like, in my mind, you will not find new use cases, more use cases like, like meme coin trading and all that, like some of them speculative. All of them can be bucketed, NFT, meme coin, all of them can be bucketed in one single use case, which is speculative use case or gambling, right? There's nothing but gambling. Like meme coins for me are nothing different than the speculative NFTs, but single collection NFTs. Like there is like, okay, this is one, like, here, Mubarak, right? Like there's one NFT piece and then that is fractionalized and everybody is trading those coins. And it's the same thing for me. They are both catering to one single, use case, which is speculation. And maybe some part of this, like holding and all that. But the newer use cases will be, in my mind, are going to be, or not the new use cases, but the use cases that are going to succeed in crypto are going to be the standard use cases, like having stock trading on crypto, right? Or, everybody having their bank accounts and your balances being managed in a form of a custody, where you can see that, okay, the bank in total holds this much money, and out of that, this much has been lent out. This is the risk profile. This is this, that. Like, because, for example, we have seen on Aave multiple times, or like other, DeFi lending borrowing protocols like Morpho and all that. They have had times when, the liquidators and the risk parameters were going up and liquidators were chasing them, right? But since those parameters are public and everyone knows them, then the communities were able to come together and mitigate those risks. And if, that exactly should be the financial infrastructure be used by all the big banks, all the big financial infrastructures and all that. Like one could argue that 2008 financial crisis probably wouldn't have happened if they had more auditable, more transparent digital infrastructure. And then, that's what I feel, that, the crypto is the new age financial infrastructure. And then, the AI and everything, these are going to not find new use cases, but going to make previous existing use cases much better, trustless, auditable, transparent. Those things they will bring, and faster settlement and all that. People don't care that much about this, but faster settlement and digital entities being able to interact with each other, digital entities being able to interact with each other, not only with money, but imagine, like, I run a SAP enterprise software, you run a SAP enterprise software. I have no clue that what's going on inside your, SAP infrastructure and all that. And we have to do, all the enterprises have to do like quarterly reconciliations and all that. You could technically argue that some people can build this infrastructure where, let's say the goods being traded and the money being transferred and all that, it is all auto-reconciled. Right? So I see crypto as that emerging as the new age financial infrastructure, and you are going to, you're talking about the congestion on the chains. I'm saying that, we have not even seen on-chain traction. When we see on-chain traction, when these enterprises are, they come on-chain and start doing transactions, we are going to need not like, 1,000 TPS, 10,000, 50,000, 100,000 TPS. We're going to need millions of TPS. Like, we need infinite capacity when enterprises start using crypto and this trustless compute as the new age financial infrastructure. Oh, sorry for the long monologue, but this is something very close to my heart. That, everybody keeps asking like there are no use cases, but there will be no use cases, new use cases. There will be existing use cases done better. Like this DEXs, they're not new use case. Exchanges exist in the world. Right? It's the same use case. Right? A perps, non-use case, same use case. So don't look for the new use cases. Just think what existing financial use cases you can bring on chain and make them better.
Kenny, what do you think from the security perspective? Can it lead to any sort of mess up once we scale up to the what Sandeep is envisioning in next, let's say, 3 years, 4 years, whatever?
Sorry, what was the first part of the question?
Can it lead to any security lapses or any problem in the networks itself when we get to the volumes what Sandeep is talking about?
Oh, well, I mean, if you're purely talking about like infrastructure security, definitely, right? Like anywhere from as simple as leaking keys to as elementary as like a DDoS attack, right? These are all sort of vectors that can impede or compromise the user experience. But I think like when you're bringing AI into the mix, the bigger issue I think from a consumer security side is one of probably sophisticated social engineering. Right, and like that's not something that necessarily can be solved by having the best sort of engineering team on hand. But this is going to shift a lot of responsibility to the individual, right? And I think like it's going to be very hard as well because even the smartest people among us are weak in terms of having your brain function at 100% attuneness 24/7, right? And the sophistication of social engineering is that it's not about just trying to trick you at 100%, but it's trying to trick you when you're at 10%, right? When you're mentally fatigued, when you're dealing with 10 things at once. And so I think, overall the security vulnerabilities, the ones that exist today on the infrastructure side will still exist, but what's going to be really magnified is going to be on the social engineering side.
Got it. So I think we are running short of time, and I will have a last question. Finally, what advice, one piece of advice you will give to the builders who are building on this intersection? Keone, would you like to start?
I think that, I would just start from problems. I think that one clear problem that I had in my head while listening to Sandeep earlier is just like identity is really inefficient right now. Like hiring is very inefficient. We have 8 billion people on Earth. That's actually an incredible amount of productivity. Imagine we were trying to escape the solar system because we knew that the sun was going to blow up, and it was basically required for humanity to survive to get off the planet Earth. Then how would we employ all these 8 billion people as efficiently as possible to solve all these hard problems? And right now there's it's actually very inefficient to hire people. It's very, credentials are very, very, they're messy. There's no standardization at all. There's no way to prove, I know these things, and, you have a lot of Sybil attackers. So I would just start from any sort of problem, and where there's that problem, there's an incredible opportunity to create a ton of value. And the problems don't have to be Web3 problems, just any sort of problem. But I think that particular one is one that's really close to my heart because I think that that's how we unlock an immense amount of value is by creating the kind of mobility for our entire human population that some of us in the Web3 space have experienced. Web3 is global. You could be a product manager, an engineer, or a marketer, or a glue person, anywhere in the world, and you in Web3 get amazing opportunities to work and be really impactful that are unlocked by Web3. And I want to see that that same level of opportunity be unlocked to everyone in the world. And I think we have some nuggets of what is possible, but we need to go solve those problems to create that value. You?
Yeah, I think I really kind of echo with what Keone just said. I think it's really gotta be starting from the problem itself, and so some of the I guess wrong way of thinking about what to start or what to build is, for example, specifically thinking about what to build within the intersection of AI and Web3, right? Because you are basically starting from two infrastructures and two major narratives, and then trying to maybe imagine a problem that you could solve. It should always be kind of the other way around. And it doesn't have to be AI, it doesn't have to be Web3, but actually solving a specific problem. And AI could be very natural in terms of just improving the user experience, lowering down the cost, improving the pipeline, all this kind of stuff. And Web3 very naturally has also its own advantages. That should really be the way that people are approaching what kind of ideas that they should be building and what kind of stuff that they should be building as well. And even just starting from, or looking back from the Kaito journey, we never started with the idea of, for example, yaps or trying to solve the attention economy, all this kind of stuff. We started with a very simple problem statement, which is, Web3 information is very chaotic. It doesn't make sense for a researcher to go through Twitter and so many different Discord channels and Telegram and all this kind of stuff to be able to find something. So we started building a search engine because we thought that many of the people share the same problem statement that we had. And then we realized that, okay, understanding momentum is very important in the space. And then we think about how do we not just analyze the momentum, but actually monetize momentum, attention, all this kind of stuff. So there's always very problem-driven, but then that's, in my view, the most powerful. Because you know that someone else shared that problem, and then what you're doing has value, and then someone is going to pay for it. And I think that if our space, collectively all the builders are thinking that way, then we'll be better off building some of the real applications that can power a lot of the use cases that people are kind of desperately in need for.
All right, Kenny, what do you?
Yeah, I think they covered a lot of great tips and ideas, and so I'll give you guys some alpha. It's not alpha, but it's my opinion, so it's probably beta. But when we're looking at AI, right, especially in this audience, I think people tend to think of AI in two buckets. The first bucket is ChatGPT, Anthropic, all these AI as a service, right? You sign up, you log in with Google, and you access the AI through the internet. That's the first bucket. And then there's the second bucket of on-chain AI and this future of putting models on-chain and all this other jazz, right? So like in one world, you're getting AI through traditional internet, and on another world, you're getting AI through the Web3. But I don't know why people aren't looking at local LLMs. And I think that, my personal bet is that that's going to have the biggest breakthrough, meaning that all this AI that you're trying to access through the internet right now can be and will be run locally on your own device. I don't know how many of you guys have tried running these models by yourselves on your own laptops. They work perfectly. Like, I use them all the time when I'm on flights, and they generate content, I'd say probably to 80–90% of ChatGPT 4.0 or 0.1 mini. And that's just the beginning. And I think there's a lot of research now being done around how you can put those local LLMs, not just on computers, but on mobile devices. And so I'm willing to bet that in 3 to 5 years, most of the AI is going to be running locally on your individual devices, probably on every single cell phone in the audience. And so I think there's a lot of opportunity combining that area, that third element of accessing AI with the self-sovereignty of crypto.
Sandeep?
Yeah. Did I lose? Okay. So my advice, I will give very, practical advice, right? So one is that, 3 categories of builders. I see, because I go to these events, so many people come to me, right? Okay, we are building this, we are building that. And then you have one category of people who purely want to do a token. Their goal is, I want to do a token, and this token trades, and I make some money, and this and that. And they end up doing all sorts of crazy things for which our industry is very, badly known for, right? Literally, you can't go to, yesterday I was reading a tweet that, in SF, you can say whatever you want to. Somebody was giving an example of their dating life, but if the moment you tell that I am in crypto, people look down upon you. And I have to be honest, when sometimes I go to SF or this AI, I'm meeting some AI people, even I feel a little bit this thing that, okay, I'm going to tell that, okay, I am in crypto, and then immediately their impression goes down. So this part, and then you can see what is going on in the last 3 days. You can watch the Twitter, what is going on. And I think the regulations and all those things are going to be stronger and stronger. So if you want to stay out of jail, just don't go too crazy here. Then there is this other category, the middle category, where a lot of founders are there who want to access liquidity, who want to access investments and all that, and build something. They want to build some liquidity and then do their real thing. And they are in the middle. The third state of founder is you are trying to solve a problem. There the answer is very, very clear. that, build businesses where people want to pay for something, right? Like, don't build for these narratives, this, that. Build something where people are willing to pay something you for. And build business like Kaito, right? Like Kaito is a business, one of the very few businesses in crypto where people want to pay for that service, right?
True that.
And then, that's what like you was also saying, like try to solve a problem where people are willing to pay for it, right? So I think that's the basic rule of building a startup, whether it's crypto, whether it's Web3, whatever, Web2, Web4, it will always be the same business, right? Business means you should make money. These people in the middle, that I want to address because they are always conflicted. I see some of the founders, they have good intentions, but maybe they don't come from Stanford and all that, right? Big schools, big background. So large investors are not willing to invest in them. And then they want to raise some money for their company, but they actually have good intentions to build something. And they kind of like get stuck in the middle. And what is happening now is that because of these 5-6 years of crypto and VCs investing billions and billions of dollars, I think, and this might be bear market talk also, in bull market, all these investors which are supposed to be thinkers and intelligent people deploying intelligent money, they also go crazy. And then they are deploying everywhere.
Yeah.
But I think for these people, what I want to say is that, okay, if you want to play around in the narrative and all that to raise the local money for your startup so that you can build for the future, it's okay to play in the local narrative, but always have your vision on this third side, right? That what is the problem you're going to solve over time and which can stand the test of time. Because in crypto, failures are not acceptable. If you fail, you are a scammer, right?
Yeah.
In no other entrepreneurship domain this happens, right? Crypto, you fail, you are a scammer. And so, even though you are like playing on some narrative and all that, and so that you can raise money, but have your eyes on actually what is the problem you're going to solve. Because if you don't do that, you will fall in this category, which is the category I talked about, which is a actual scammer category. And some of the people who I meet who don't have an illustrious background and they don't come from a privileged background, they really want to build something, but they don't have any path, so they start tracing for the narrative, and then eventually they forget their core roots and go into that side. That's the part. That's the people I want to give advice for, that even though you have to play for the local markets, what is happening in the next 3 to 6 months, what is the meta right now, but don't chase the meta for the long term. Like, once you get your funding, start building, start solving a problem where people will pay you money.
Makes sense. Those are some amazing advice, guys. Thank you so much, guys. Pleasure hosting you.
Thank you.